Namo Namaha Bhavtam Sarvesham Hardam Swagatam. Welcome back to my channel Sanskrit Sopanam. I hope you are doing great. I'm also good. And continuing in our series Learning Sanskrit through Gita, today we are decoding the Shloka 41 of the chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita. And again, this Shloka also is a continuation of a chain of thought of the reasons that Arjuna is giving to Sri Krishna. What he said in the last Shloka was Kulakshaya, that upon the destruction of a family lineage, all the dharmic values, all the dharmic traditions also get lost. Now, this Sanskrit word dharma, as we discussed in the last video also, dharma in Sanskrit, this word does not just sticks to the religious activities, but dharma means all the principles, all the values that help an individual lead a good, righteous, and fulfilling life. So, all these traditions, all these values that pass from a generation to generation, all these values will get lost if an entire destruction of a family happens. That is what Arjuna is saying. And then he further says that once all these dharmic values are gone, so obviously only adharma, that is unrighteousness or vices or immorality, only these kind of negative traits then spreads in a family. Only this kind of traits then overcomes the entire family. So this is what he said in the previous shloka. In this shloka, he is just giving another reason, continuing the same chain of thought. So anyways, a simple and straightforward shloka to decode. Let us directly jump to the shloka in hand. So as always, I have the shloka ready with me. Let me go through the shloka once. Adharma bhibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyah strishu dushtasu varshriya jayate varna sankaraha. So this is the shloka that we'll decode today, and this here is the Sandhi Vichhed version of the shloka. So as you can see, only a single Sandhi that is happening here. Adharma Abhibhavat. Actually, I've put a hyphen here. Why? Because this is obviously a samas. So Adharma Abhibhavat and Krishna. So not even a sandhi also, just how the consonants they join with each other, right? Anyways, the detail of this sandhi also is given in the PDF file as usual, along with the word by word breakdown of the entire shloka. So if I miss out anything in the video, everything is given in the PDF file. So please download that PDF file from the link in the description box. Okay, but anyways, let us start decoding the shloka, and we start with this word pradushyanti. Okay. So pradushyanti, as you can already guess, that this here is the plural, the bahuvachan verb form. Why? Because we have seen that most of the time when you have this half na, pradushyanti, just as we have patati patataha pathanti. So whenever we have this half na, so we can make a fair guess that this here is a plural, a bahuvachan verb form. Same is reflected here also. Pradushyanti simply means they all sin or they all become corrupt. That is what the sense here is. This particular verb forms come from the dhatu dush. And dush dhatu again simply means to sin or to become corrupt, in that sense only. Okay, the famous Hindi word, no, dusht. You say someone is wicked or someone is sinful or someone is has become corrupt. So we call them dusht insan. So this dusht also is obviously coming from this particular dhatu only, dush. But the verb form here, pradushyanti, this here is in third person, and as I've already mentioned, plural, that is bahuvachan, and latlakar, that is present tense. In third person plural latlakar, dush dhatu along with the prefix pra changes into this particular verb form pradushyanti. And we have already seen the meaning. Pradushyanti simply means they all sin or they all become corrupt. That is the sense here. And now an immediate question will be that who all? Who all become corrupt? So the response is kul striyah pradushyanti. And kul striyah means women of family. So kul striyah, this obviously is a samas, a combination word, and you can clearly see the two combination word, kul and stri. So kul, this word we have seen so many times in previous shloka. Kul simply means family, family or a family lineage, entire family lineage, right? And stri obviously means woman. And here Arjuna is trying to say that this woman of family, all the women of family, they become corrupt. This is what he is trying to say here. So this particular samas should open as kulasya, because obviously I'm trying to say all the women of family. I want to say of family. So of family, that means I'm using the sixth case, shashti vibhakti. So kulasya. And this here is the singular ekvachan form, women, right? But I want to use the plural, bahuvachan form. So bahuvachan form of this three is striyah, the one that is used in the shloka. Okay, striyah. So the proper way to decode this samas is kulasya striyah, that all the women of family. Kulasya striyah, kulistriyah pradushyanti, the women of family, they sin or they become corrupt. That is what we are starting with. And when we'll move forward, now I'm asking the reason, kasmat karanat, that from what reason, kasmat karanat, okay. And the reason that is given in the shloka is adharma abhibhavat. That adharma abhibhavat simply translates to because of the predominance of adharma. That is what is the literal translation here. Let us understand this word adharma abhibhavat. So adharma here can means all the things that are unrighteous, all the things that are immoral. Abhibhavat. So actually in the previous shloka we saw this verb form, right? Abhibhavati. So here it is abhibhava. This is in the, you can think this is in the qualitative form, in the bhav form. We say this, no, that dhatu denotes an action. But what is the bhav? What is the qualitative thing of that action? That is this bhav. So this here is in the bhav form, abhibhava. Abhibhavati meant overcomes, overcomes or overpowers. We saw in the last shloka. So when it is in an action form, so it obviously means that it overcomes, it overpowers. And what is the bhava? What is the quality of something that overcomes? The predominance. That is the quality, right? So abhibhava simply means, as a noun, abhibhava simply means predominance. That is what it means. So adharma abhibhava. That is what I'm trying to say is, again, adharmasya abhibhava, predominance of adharma. So adharmasya abhibhava iti adharma abhibhava. And then I want to say that from the predominance of adharma, that this adharma, this predominance of adharma, this is the root cause. So from this root cause, this will happen. So since I want, actually this, you can see abhibhavat, this is the fifth case. I hope a lot of you can relate to this fifth case, right? Balak changes into balakat, Ram changes into ramat. So similarly, adharma abhibhava, this means predominance of adharma. And since I want to say from the predominance of adharma or because of the predominance of adharma, so in a lot of situations, to denote this because of, we use the fifth case. We use the fifth case, Panchami Vibhakti. That is what is happening here also. That adharma abhibhavat, because of the predominance of adharma, what happens? Kulistriya, the women of family, they start to sin or they become corrupt or they become immoral. That is what Arjuna is starting with. Arjuna is trying to say. Okay. And the reason Arjuna is bringing the women of family discussion here now is because the men of all these families are already present in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And he has already mentioned this in the previous shlokas that all these men, they are overcome by greed and all sorts of vices. That is why they are present in the battlefield and they are ready to fight and murder their own kinsmen, their own family relatives for whatever material gain they are expecting out of this battle. So they are already here, they have already gone corrupt, and that is why the adharma is at stake. The dharma is at stake, adharma is going to prevail in the society. And then Arjuna is continuing that if it prevails in the society to an extent where even the women of the family, they become corrupt, they become immoral, they start to sin just like men are doing right now, then that will be the end of the social order. That will be the absolute end of the social order of any family lineage, any race. That is what he's trying to reinforce here. Okay, and now we continue with the second line of the shloka, this line, and we start with this word jayate. So jayate means it happens or it arises. Okay, jayate, this comes from the dhatu jana. Jana dhatu means to give birth or to become, to be born, to become, in that sense. In third case, singular latlakar, this jana dhatu changes into jayate. Simply means it becomes, it arises, it happens, in all those sense. Now the immediate question will be, what happens? That is the question. And Varna Sankaraha, that is the response we get from the shloka. Varna Sankaraha, that means mixture of varnas. That is the literal translation here. Let us see this samas now. So Varna, this means the Varna system. Okay, so we had the Varna system in the ancient time. 4 Varnas. The society was divided into 4 Varnas: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So that Varna. Sankara, this means mixture. Mixture or blending. Mixture in a simple sense. And I want to say Varnasya Sankaraha. that mixture of all the different varnas. Okay, so varnasya sankara, actually we are not going to use varnasya because this is the sixth case singular. But since I want to say mixture of all the varnas that are present in the society, the interblending of all those varnas, so obviously I'm going to use the sixth case, not singular, but plural, right? I should use the plural. So varna, this pratipadik in sixth case plural, this will become varna nama, right? This will become this. So the correct decoding of this samas will be varna nama sankaraha. Sankaraha. Okay, so by now you can, I think you are pretty much good at how we are decoding any samasa. We just find out the overall meaning this samas is giving us. Varna Sankara, by the look of it, you already know. If you know the individual words, Varna and Sankara, you already know this word means mixture of Varnas. And then if you want to open it, just open it as you are translating mixture of Varnas. So mixture, that is Sankara, of Varnas, that is Varnanama. So Varnanama Sankaraha iti Varna Sankaraha. This is how we open any samas. That is what is happening here. Okay. And now the question is, this Varna Sankaraha, when does it start to happen? So that is what the question is. Kasmin paristitau, in what circumstance and in what event does this happens? And this is the event. Strishu dushtasu. This here. And this here again is the use of a concept that we covered in the last shloka also, Sati Saptami. Sati Saptami concept. This is a Sati Saptami concept, Strishu Dushtasu. This on translation opens as upon the corruption of women. So this Sati Saptami Prayoga we have already discussed in the previous shloka also. Let me give a quick refresher again. Why we use Sati Saptami? We use Sati Saptami when in a sentence there are two actions. There is an action 1 which leads to another action. Let us take it action 2. So this particular action 1, this here is like a pre-event. This here is like a pre-event or the cause that when this happens, upon the happening of this event, this happens, action 2 happens. So to denote this pre-event, to denote this cause which leads to a consequence, we use the Sati Saptami Prayoga. And here in our sentence here, in this sentence, we have two events. One is this, Varna Sankaraha Jayate, we have already seen. That the mixture of varnas, it happens. Now my question is, in what circumstance, under what event, what happens, what condition happened that leads to this happening, mixture of varnas. Something happened which leads to this. So what is that pre-event? And that is defined with this word Strishu Dushtasu. And let us see how this works. We have two words here, no? Stri and Dusht. Stri means woman. Okay. Dusht means corrupt. Actually, dusht is a verb-based adjective. This is derived from the, again, the same dhatu dush. When we modify this dhatu using ta suffix, so we get this pratipadik, dushta. Since this pratipadik is being used for a feminine gender noun, this stri here is a feminine gender noun, right? So we are using dushta. This is how verb-based adjective will work. So stri dushta simply means a corrupt woman. A corrupt woman or a sinful woman. And since this here is describing the pre-event, this here is describing the cause, that I want to say that upon the corruption of women, when all the women they become corrupt, upon the corruption of women, Varna Sankaraha Jayate. So what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to convert both these words, that is the pre-event, that is the cause. I'm going to convert both these words into their saptami, that is seventh, into their seventh case. That is how we use the Sati Saptami Prayog. So, and again, I'm going to use the plural. I'm going to use the seventh case plural. Why plural? Why plural? Because I want to say upon the corruption of all women, not a single woman. When all the women, they become corrupt. So, upon the corruption of all women. So, I'm obviously going to use the plural. So, seventh case plural, stri changes into strishu. And dushta, the verb is adjective, it changes into dushtasu. And this becomes the Sati Saptami Prayog. And this denotes the pre-event. Pre-event that leads to this Varna Sankaraha Jayate. So Strishu Dushtasu simply meaning upon the corruption of women. Upon the corruption of women, Varna Sankaraha Jayate. The mixture of Varnas, it happens, it arises. That is what is the translation and that is what Arjuna is trying to say here. And if you'll open the translation also, So the Anvay is Krishna. So Arjuna is obviously addressing Sambodhan Vibhakti, right? So Arjuna is addressing Krishna that, oh Krishna, adharma abhibhavat. Because of, I told you, no, that vat abhibhavat. So this is the fifth case. And we use fifth case to denote this, because of, when you want to say this, convey this. So, O Krishna, adharma abhibhavat, because of the predominance, abhibhava, of adharma, kulstriha pradushyanti. The women of family, they become corrupt and they become sinful. Pradushyanti. Then he further says Varshneya. So this Varshneya actually is again another name of Sri Krishna. So Vrishni, this was like a Vedic time, a Vedic Kala shepherd clan. Okay, so shepherd, in Hindi we say Gadaria. So shepherd clan, a tribal group of people who used to tend the sheep, the shepherd who used to do the occupation of shepherd. So Vrishni. And since Krishna, he also belonged, when he was there in the Mathura, he grew up in Mathura. So he belonged to that clan. So to show that he belonged to this descendant of this clan, Vrishni clan, so he has this name Varshaneya. Again, this is a Apatyavachak Sangha, as we have seen before also. Pandu becomes Pandava, the Dhartarashtra from Dhritarashtra. So all these words where you take the descendants. So since descendant of Vrishni clan, that is why Varshaneya. That is why Arjuna is addressing Shri Krishna with this name. But anyways, Strishu Dushtasu, that, O Varshaneya, upon the corruption of women, Strishu Dushtasu, this is the Sati Saptami Prayog that we saw. What happens upon the corruption of women? Varna Sankraha Jayate. Varna Sankraha is mixture of Varnas, Jayate is happens. Mixture of Varnas starts to happen. That is the translation of this shloka. Now before we close this video, the term that we saw, Varna Sankraha, that means mixture of Varnas. Please don't misunderstand this term on the present day understanding, limited understanding of this terminology Varna. So in the present day time, a lot of people misunderstand the term Varna, the Varna system, to be equal to the caste system, the modern day caste system. But the modern day caste system is a very political term, is a very political concept. While the Varna system that was prevalent in the ancient Vedic time, it was a very organic way of dividing any society to bring in a social order. Now, what was that division? So, in that early Vedic time, the society was divided into four major categories: the Brahmin, the Kshatriya, the Vaishya, and the Shudras. And this division was more like a occupational division, where for an individual to belong to any of the Varna, two parameters were there: the Guna and the Karma. Chaturvarnam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. That these four Varnas were based on the Guna and the Karma of an individual. The Guna, the three gunas of the nature, that is the Sattva and the Rajas and the Tamas. These three gunas contribute to how an individual's inner temperament, the natural tendency is. So guna, in a simple term, you can think of the inner temperament, the natural tendencies of an individual, the natural inclination, a natural knack for something. So a lot of us are very good at certain thing, but a lot of us have a inner interest, have a natural talent towards something else. So that inner temperament, that is guna. And karma is, of course, your work, your actions. So now suppose there is an individual who is very much inclined, who has this natural talent towards studying the scriptures, studying the shastras, studying the books, contemplating over them, meditating on them, and all the intellectual pursuits, even the spiritual pursuits, all the spiritual pursuits, the philosophical questions. Someone who has a natural talent, who has an inner temperament for these things, and also the required skill set. What is the required skill set? You must have a discipline. You must have a sharp mind. You must have an inquisitive mind. Then only you can ponder the questions of philosophical nature, right? And all those people who were related to these intellectual quests, these intellectual pursuits, they belong to the Brahmin Varna. Okay. Now, all those individuals who had a natural knack for administrative services, all those people who were very much fascinated and have the required skill set for be a part of the administrative of a state, that how a state runs, what are the policies, how the policies are made, and also the valor, the courage to become a soldier, that you are very good, very skillful in the weapons, you are very good in the what you can say, the military strategies, in all those things. So all those skills that is needed to protect a state from external and internal threats. So the administrative policies, the administrative services, and these services, the military services, all these services, if you have a talent for them, if you have a natural temperament, and whatever skill is required for them, if you are suitable for it, then you belong to a Kshatriya Varna. And that is why you see all the kings, they belong to the Kshatriya Varna. Why? Because a king is someone who is running a state. And also, similarly, all the soldiers, all the military leaders, they also belong to the Kshatriya Varna only. Because that kind of skill set is required. That kind of skill set, temperament is required to do that. So all those kings and everyone, they were Kshatriya. All the teachers, all the acharyas, all the rishis, all the seers, all the munis, all those who were deep into spiritual activities, intellectual activities, all those people, they belong to the obviously the Brahmin Varna. Now the Vaishya, who were the Vaishya? So if you have a temperament, if you have a talent, the natural inner talent for businesses, for trading, for being an entrepreneur, for establishing your own business, basically commerce. So if you have a talent, if you have a natural knack for commerce, farming, all these activities that deals with money, the commerce, if you have a talent for that, so you belong to a Vaishya Varna. And then who are the Shudra? Shudra are those people who don't have the required skill set or the intelligence or the patience and the inner temperament for pursuing any of the three Varnas, any of the occupation of the three Varnas. So these Shudras people, what they did, they provided services to these people. They helped these people of other Varnas by providing their manual labor, the brute force, by providing their manual labor. All these functions of the society are very much needed for a society to run smoothly. It's not that only if society is made of teachers, a society can run, or if only society is made of politicians, a society will run. No, all these professions, all these varnas are very much required for any society to work smoothly. And that was the Varna system, an organic way of dividing a society, and based on of course the inner temperament, the natural tendency, and the work output, the skill set of an individual. If you are not good at doing surgeries, if you are an electrical engineer, or if you are a musician or a dancer, and you just want that, I want to do surgery on some person, that will be disastrous, because you have to judge yourself. No, that social order was maintained by this Varna system. Now a question comes generally, that why are the Brahmins only revered so much? So you take an example of a present day society also. If a someone like a branch manager, if a branch manager makes a mistake, or suppose you say if a doctor or a teacher, he makes a mistake, what is more harmful? Obviously the mistake done by a doctor or a teacher. A doctor, he's dealing with the life of an individual. Similarly, a teacher, he's dealing with so many lives. As the students, these students will go on and become the future of any country, of any state. So if a teacher is negligent, if a teacher is not good in what he's doing, if he's incompetent, then that will reflect on his students also, and that will be disastrous for an entire nation, for an entire state. That is why their work, a work of a teacher, a work of a doctor, is even in present time revered so much. So it is not a question of that a Shudra or a Vaishya work is not required in a society, or they are lesser than any other. No, it is not like that. But if a special difference is given to the teacher or a doctor, then very much so. The logic is there why it is given. They are dealing with the future of a country. One is dealing with the life, another is dealing with the future of an entire state. Obviously, they are going to be revered so much. So that was the entire attitude of that time. But unfortunately, what happened is this Vern system, through the course of time and a lot of history there, by deliberate moves, deliberate attempt, this entire Vern system was transformed into this political caste system to break and divide our nation, India. So that is what happened, but the mentality of that caste system has stuck with it. But anyways, the only reason I wanted to point this out is when you read such text and when you come across such words, Varna Sangraha, mixture of Varnas, please don't unnecessarily get agitated. Because if you are getting agitated by this word, mixture of Varnas, then you're obviously looking to this term Varna through the caste system, through the lens of caste system. And that is bothering you. Because when you are reading mixture of Varnas, you are thinking in your head, okay, so is that a problem? If different caste, if different people are getting intermingled, is that a problem? So are you reinforcing the supremacy of upper varnas, lower varnas? If are you establishing that? No, nothing of that sort is being inferred through this text. Ved Vyasa, Arjuna, Shri Krishna, that time the caste system was not even perceivable. Had had Ved Vyasa known that the Varna system, that was an organic system of dividing a society, had he known that the Varna system in after 2000 3000 years will so brutally be mistransformed into a political caste system, he might have been a bit more politically correct, and he might have avoided using this term mixture of varnas. But obviously Ved Vyasa, he was more optimistic of future generations than we turned out to be. But please don't agitate yourself, unnecessarily become angry when you are seeing these words mixture of varnas. You are obviously looking through a wrong lens. The Varna system and the caste system, they are completely different. If Arjuna is saying that a mixture of Varnas will happen, and he's obviously saying this in a bad light, Arjuna is simply meaning that this Varna system, they kept a social order of a society, and we saw how. And this will get disrupt. This will get disrupt. A teacher who is not eligible of being a teacher will become a teacher. An administrative leader who is not eligible of being eligible administrative leader will head a state. So this all things will start to happen, and entire social order will collapse. That is what Arjuna means. How the system was brutally mistransformed, how it was misinformed. Long history of this happening. I don't want to go into that. What is sad is a lot of people still holds to that, and that part is very sad. What happened. But we can at least change. But a correct way to change is the correct explanation of things. Now, if you start hating the entire scriptures because the caste system is born out of Varna system, and then you say that no, this came out of this, so the entire scriptures are horrible, the entire shastras are horrible, they are this, they are that. If you start hating all of this, that no one is ever going to get a good solution. The only good solution is the correct explanation of things. So actually, this particular in the Bhagavad Gita only, there is a shloka, 13th shloka of the chapter 4, where Shri Krishna himself is telling that chaturvarnam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashah. That he's obviously telling that the varna system is made by me on the basis of guna and karma. There's an absolutely fantastic explanation of this shloka by Swami Chinmayananda. Absolutely fantastic. So I'll try and leave the link of the video here. You should check out that explanation. Beautiful explanation by Chinmayananda. Now that is the type of explanation that needs to go out, and that is the correct understanding of these things. You don't blindly follow anything, and you also don't blindly start hating anything. Try to understand what is the problem. Try to understand what went wrong. So these shastras, they were never telling us anything wrong. The one system is a very sound organic system. We transformed it wrongly. And so when we read these things, Varna mixture, we suddenly become angry that, oh, such a stupid nonsensical thought. No, the lens through which we are looking is stupid. So obviously we are stupid. These are not. They are not. They don't mean it the way we are thinking it. But anyways, that this point I just wanted to touch, because at this point, these terms, it can agitate a lot of people. A lot of people becomes too sensitive over these things. So a correct explanation will give you closure if you're looking for, if you're genuinely looking for that. But anyways, that was it. That was the entire decoding of the shloka. I'll meet you in the next video, in the next shloka. Until then, stay awesome, stay happy, keep learning Sanskrit. Vayam puna milamaha. Dhanyavad.